Hey, I want to walk you through my EastView Live template that I made today, just to talk through how it's put together. So we'll start here on this main screen. You can see each of these locators at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and these are automatically just pre-mapped to keys on the keyboard. I'll just show you how to add a seventh one, for instance, and this is just basically how they all work. So right-click, add locator, type in whatever you want it to be called. Maybe we call it 7, and then we say song, hit key, and this is how to key map, and then we will, one sec, that's annoying. There we go. We got to click the flag, and then I hit the number 7, and now anytime we hit 7, it jumps over to that flag. So I made all 6 of these in that exact same fashion, and you can see here with key mapping, they're just different keys are going to different locators. Let's talk through these tracks. So we've got these red ones, which are our click, and then our cues. And anytime you see a number by a track, it's going to that output on the interface. Side note, when you are hooked up to just your computer speakers, you can, or even studio monitors, really, you'll only be able to hear outputs 1 and 2. However, if you need to, you can change any of these outputs to 1 and 2 to hear them, but you can't change it back to the output you need unless you're hooked up to an interface that has 8 outputs. Okay, so these click and cue channels are coming down outputs 8 and then 7. These 3 white ones are all MIDI tracks, which we'll talk through later. This is our melodic output bus. And then all these other ones in yellow are simply outputting to this melodic bus. The guitar's track is the same thing. Here's the output bus coming down 3, 4, and then all of these tracks are feeding into that output. Same thing here. This is our percussive output bus going out of 5 and 6, and then all of these tracks are feeding into that output. This mic channel normally isn't there. This is just my way of having you hear me today. Over here, let's just make a track. So if we have a MIDI track and we'll load up an instrument on it, if I change the external output to something else like 1 or 2 or whatever, that's how I did these to go to the correct output on the interface. Okay, let's talk through each of these channels real quickly. So I'm just going to remake each of these. So we're going to call this click 8, loaded up with a drum rack, which is going to mute my mic. Now I'm back. Okay, so we got a drum rack on here, and all that I did was load up some samples. So I think this is our up sound, and then this is our down sound. And I just changed some parameters. Probably it's been a couple years. And then I think for whatever reason, I turned this down a decibel so that it wasn't clipping. So that's our click bus. Oh, and then I colored it red. There you go. And then external output, and then I would choose 8 if it were available, but I can't do that right now. So the way that this works is if you drop any of these pre-made MIDI clips that click cues MIDI clips on this click MIDI track, it'll play back these samples. So this is just a 1-bar loop that I can drag for as long as I want, and it's simply just doing up, down, 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 which is our 4/4 click sound. And here you can see this is just simply used for a faster tempo. Click, down, 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 down. We've got them there for 6/8 as well, if you needed that, and 3/4, which we don't use as much. So that's how the click track works. The cues is very similar. You can see there's a lot more samples loaded into it because we basically need to have all the words available to say, band 2, 3, 4, chorus 2, 3, 4, things like that. So I'm not going to go through the process of making this, but it's the same thing. We're going to call it Q7, color it red, loaded up with a drum rack. Sorry, now you can hear me again. So it's got a drum rack on it, send it down the right output, and then on it, basically have like all of these cues So we're just going to pretend that's all done. And then it looks like this. The way that this works is really similar to the click channel, where we can drop these pre-made MIDI clips that I threw together in each time signature, and it will queue up different commands. So the way that all of these work is it's one bar of silence, and then it says the name of like a section or an instrument, and then 2, 3, 4. And the ones in 3, 4, and 6, 8 work the exact same. So anyways, looks like that. Bar of silence, the command, 2, 3, 4. So we've got those for kind of each section or instrument that you'd probably ever need. Those are simply just samples that I got from Loop Community for free a while back. All right, so those are our top 2 channels. The next 3 are MIDI tracks. These 2 are basically the same exact track. I just duplicated them and called them different things. So we use this one to fire different MIDI cues to ProPresenter throughout the song, like slide 1, next slide, clear slide, things like that. And we use this next one to select the playlist. So these are things I just downloaded from the internet a while back, called MIDI cues, and they work with ProPresenter. So we've got, like playlist cue, we've got slide 1 cue, and then from there we basically just use next slide, and then our clear one. I always forget. It's I think it's clear all. So those are pretty much the only types of cues we use. Of course, we use multiple different like playlist items, but I just always throw. Oops, I got these on the wrong tracks. There we go. I always throw the, that should say, okay. These are always going to select the playlist, and these are going to do something within a ProPresenter playlist. The way that these are set up to work, I can't accurately explain to you. Andy helped me with it, but once you get the MIDI to output working with the computer, it's like supposed to be talking to, it basically just works. Unless it doesn't, and then you have to troubleshoot it. But it never has something to do with Ableton. It's like a networking or Ethernet issue or something. Okay, let's talk through stop track. This is another MIDI type of track, and this is doing something within Ableton. In order to learn what this is doing, just Google Ableton stop track on YouTube, and there is a video explaining how to set it up. And I just followed those instructions back a while ago. So this is the stop track MIDI clip. It's firing the note G8, and if you click here with our MIDI button, the note G8 in Ableton is triggering the stop cue. So essentially, anytime that this cue hits, right away it'll just stop playback. And I'll use that at the end of sets to stop playback from happening, so that we don't accidentally start the next song. In case the drummer's, if he forgets to hit spacebar or something once a set is done. You can just copy and paste it around wherever you want it, and it can work as many times as you need it to within a set. So that always lives at the end. Okay, these next ones, so let's see. This and this and this all work basically exactly the same. So I created a bus, which we'll call melodic 1, 2, colored it yellow because I'm OCD, and then this will be like, sure, piano. All right, I'm just gonna add a blank one after that to kind of separate them. So this is our bus, and then this is just a track that will have a WAV file put on it, and it's gonna output to here is my goal. So I need to change this track here that I created, melodic, change the monitor to in to receive audio. It's going to turn blue on its mute button, which tells you it's going to receive rather than playback audio. And then this one, you need to say audio 2, and then it's going to go to melodic. This output will be external output, and then you can choose where you want it to go. So that's how all of these work, where you can see all of these are coming audio 2 to this group here, and then that's coming out of outputs 1 and 2. These are all working in the exact same fashion. So all of these are outputting to here because of that command right there, and then monitor in to receive audio. Same thing here. We've got all of these percussive out to here. The reason that this one is blue is because it's actually a MIDI track connected to our drum pad on stage so that our drummer can play back samples on certain songs. Inside of this Dropbox folder, here are all the songs we've ever used drum samples on. I'm trying to recall something. 1 second. Okay. If you look here, this is how the Ableton drum rack corresponds to the drum pads we use. So the bottom left, okay, so on the drum pad, it has 6 triggers on it. The bottom left, bottom middle, bottom right, top left, top middle, top right. When you hit each of those, it's sending Ableton a note. So bottom left is C1. So if I wanted to load up a sound that's on the bottom left drum pad, I'd want to put that right here in the drum rack on C1. So let's say, for instance, okay, what I do most of the time, sorry, 1 sec. Bottom left, they like to be the snare sound. So we'll load that up there. So we've got the snare sound in the bottom left, and then I think that, let's see, bottom right is F#1. So I'll put this kick sound there. I usually like to separate the pads a little bit so that there's no, it's called crosstalk. So once those are drag and dropped in, I'm going to change 3 parameters. Turn this value to 0, change this value to 0, and then change the setting to classic. And that's it. So you got to do that anytime you load up samples to make them the right volume and to not have any velocity response, and then to loop them rather than be one-shots. That's how the drum rack, or sorry, the drum pad works, and then that just also outputs to here. The monitor on that is in for a reason I won't go into, but essentially well, I guess I will go into it. That's what this video is for. It's so that it always receives MIDI so that you don't have to arm the track, just to kind of prevent, again, accidents from happening. I think that's it. That's how I made the template. Thinking through if I forgot anything. Oh, one just note, the way I designed this, just for me visually, anything that's capitalized and has an asterisk by it is meant to be played by a live band individual. I load everything up in case that we either don't have a full band scheduled or someone can't be at a rehearsal or something like that. But that's what all those mean, and then I usually just deactivate those clips. Anyways, hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions.